What's up, guys? Coming to you from the tyrannical state of New York. This is Mudder Munitions, and tonight we have a special guest with us, Crackshot Preparedness. Let's give it a second. We'll have some folks come in. Quick shout out to some of the folks already in the chat. We got G23 first in the chat.
Nice.
We got Demora and Dan Blah. And then, yeah, pretty cool. But guys, what we're going to do today, as you know on this channel, nothing is edited. We just get right into it, right? I won a giveaway I was super excited about on the tactical turkeys. And like I said, Crackshot, I'm going to let him introduce himself in a minute. He's going to give us some background on who he is, how he got started, his company. But what we're going to do, guys, especially in today's day and age, think about everything going on in the world, what you guys are seeing in Louisiana, unfortunately, right? Thank God nobody was hurt in Vegas. But unfortunately, we live in crazy times, guys. And Nate, what you're doing and your company is doing, it really hits home, especially as a New Yorker. What's up, Integrity Firearms? Thanks for jumping in. It really hits home as a New Yorker, right? I know things could happen anywhere. But especially in New York, I've seen a lot of stuff going on. And to me, having one of these nowadays is not just something you want. It should be a necessity, right? It's small, it's compact. You can throw it in your bag. You can throw it in your truck. And this means a lot. So Nate, first of all, I want to thank you for sending this. You sent some other stuff we'll get into. But with that being said, let me just kick it off to you. Why don't you tell folks who you are, where you're from, and what you guys are doing?
Right on. Well, we are Crackshot Preparedness. My name is Nate. We are based out of Colorado. And, what I guess sparked all this off was I've been a preparedness enthusiast for quite a few years. And, if you look at all the name brands of everything, you kind of get nickel and dimed, and it's if you're gonna get serious about preparedness, it's usually gonna cost you an arm and a leg and a kidney. Biggest piece of this was we wanted to make preparedness, first aid, bug out bags, get home bags that are affordable for the everyday person. So like, where I've worked for the last 11 years has been the oil field. And even with that, I mean, that money is relatively good, but I'm still paying an arm and a leg for this stuff.
Sure.
And I want this to be available for people who make the normal everyday wage, that say wanted to be prepared, wanted to get into preparedness and couldn't because of the price point. And not sacrifice quality for the price point. That's the biggest piece.
It's funny you say that, right? Because you guys have watched this channel, right? I don't consider myself a prepper, and I don't say that in a negative way. I think when you say the name prepper, it's more of, to me, common sense. A lot of people got labeled, unfortunately, years ago, prior to COVID, is, preppers and this and that, when these guys actually turned out to know more than anything going on. But I did want to touch on what you said. When I first got into building my bug out bag, and to all you guys out there, this stuff takes time, right? Never be discouraged when you look at how expensive something is and say, oh, I'm never going to have a bag like that. This bag took me 3 to 4 years to put together, right? One piece at a time. But Nate, when I was looking at trauma kits and IFAKs, I couldn't go to a website and pick up one for $200, $300 and ended up just, putting together a cheap trauma kit. Nothing like what we're about to go over, guys. This is pretty impressive. Nate will go over it in full detail, but like I said, you throw this in your bag, you could throw it on your belt, you could throw it in your truck. This is a real trauma kit, so I'm super excited about it. This isn't just going to be a show and tell. This is something I'm literally going to carry with me every day, it's encouraged me. Me and Nate were talking behind the scenes. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't know how to use everything. So this is encouraging me to take a Stop the Bleed class and really, hopefully if I have to save my life or even someone else's life, I know what I'm doing. So that's what this is all about. So yeah, Nate, how long have you guys been doing this for?
We technically launched Crackshot Preparedness December of 2023. Didn't really know the true avenue that it was going to take. We were kind of just letting it play out as it would. Gaining knowledge on preparedness and first aid and just full on realistic survival skills over the years. We were kind of just letting it evolve naturally, and the greatest part was getting that compassed direction. And I'm going to give shout out to my uncle who actually helped set this off. He needed a trauma kit to be a range officer and gave me free reign on building it for him.
That's awesome.
On that actual range officer shoot that he was at, everybody was like, "Man, that is a really awesome kit. Where'd you get that from?" And he's like, "My nephew made it," and
awesome.
It kind of took off from there. We didn't have an idea of just sitting with trauma kits, and we are definitely more than trauma kits. But the idea was, at the range. And we'll say, tactically speaking, I've never served in the military or any of that, so this is just a brainchild. We'll say, if at any time there's an oops on the range, it is not going to be a minor oops. So what the kit is built on is being able to stop massive blood flow out of your body. And gunshot wounds in the realm of life that we're sitting in right now, there's seems to be active shooter situations once a week that we hear about. And this kit, we have the one that you got, and then we have a 2 to 3 person one, which is a bit bigger, and then we have all the way up to, we can build a 5 to 10 person active shooter kit, which is a legitimate backpack.
That's awesome.
And it is everything that you could possibly need to keep somebody's lifeblood in their body until help gets there.
That's huge, and not just shootings. And you're right about the active shootings, right? Well, I mean, we're seeing such an uptick in violence. But guys, how many times? At least I know where I'm at in Yonkers, just going to work, going to the store, whatever. I see car accidents every day of the week. So these are priceless. Also, want to give a few quick shout outs before we dive into it. Just some of the comments. Patriot from Warsaw, appreciate you being in here. Thomas, thank you for mentioning the website. Guys, I dropped Crackshot Preparedness website in the chat. Check it out. We're going to show the website. What we're going to do, guys, I'm going to let him, he's got a demo model of one of these kits he put together. I'm going to increase the screen. He's going to walk us through every item of that. Some of you guys might know some of this stuff, others might not, but I think that this is a good educational video just to see what he's building out. And guys, ask questions in the chat as we go along. Feel free to stop us as we go through this. What's up, High Kappa 45? Much love, brother. So at this point, I'm going to make the screen bigger for you.
Right on.
And you let us know exactly, let me see how to do this. Give me one sec. Still pretty new to this, but I think there's a way to make you.
Same here. I don't even know how to bring up the entire chat without taking myself off the live.
Well, I think we got it, man. I'm going to kind of sit in the background. I'm probably going to ask more questions to some of the people in the chat. But guys, after we go through the kit that he's going to show us, we're going to go through the website. Like he said, they're doing more things than just putting these trauma kits together, and we'll take it from there. He also sent some other things we'll get into at the end of the video, which I really appreciate.
Yep. All right. So biggest point of this kit is obviously airway is important and stopping the bleeding is important. So what we packed it with is compressed gauze. I got a vacuum packed version of what you got. We finally got a vacuum sealer. So you have, if you can see it here, you got hemostatic gauze. You have
You know what? Let me
compressed
take a little bit
gauze.
a little closer. Perfect, perfect.
And then on the back side of it, we have the chest seals, which are going to be for sucking chest wounds, where you're going to be running into issues with collapsed lung. It's weird how the body works. You know, you get a little external source of air coming in that's not contained in your lung, and it will actually fill your chest cavity with pressure and actually collapse your lung. So what these do is, I don't have an open one, but ultimately you don't have to like shave their chest or anything if the person's really hairy. The adhesive that they have on the chest seals is kind of malleable, so it'll create a seal around unless they're Chewbacca. Then you'll run into an issue, but for the most part, you're going to center the wound in the chest seal. Say the chest seal is about yay big. You're going to center that wound right in the middle. It has vents. There is other types where they are unvented, but it's to help mitigate the pressure and not allow what is coming into the lungs to technically escape, to build that pressure back up, and also to allow fluid, if it's blood, mucus, the plasma trying to clot, it's going to allow that to, in overabundance, to seep out. And then we have a hemostatic gauze. So this is going to be a wound pack. So this is what the pack looks like. Hemostatic gauze. We are using and I probably am going to pronounce this wrong, the kaolin hemostatic gauze. The Celox one, it is very expensive. Um, Unfortunately, that is one of those things that is like you're getting the Nikes versus Pumas. Um,
And
so
a quick question. Someone was asking, is there any NPA in the kit? I'm not sure what NPA is myself, but someone in the chat was asking.
that is the nasal airway, correct? So we do have those. That is on the other side of the kit.
Hey, Urban Gardening Chronicles.
So it's a nasal airway. It's a flexible tube that comes with lube, and if they're having an issue breathing, you're gonna lube it up and slide it through their nasal cavity, and it's gonna go down into their throat, so you can actually do a CPR if they have a compromised airway. So we do have those in the kit. That comes in the standard kit.
Awesome.
That and lube. That's one thing when we were at TriggerCon. The military guys that I was talking to about are like, you just spit on it, and I'm like, that's gross, man. That's gross. But the hemostatic gauze comes compressed as well, not as compressed as the normal compressed gauze. Compressed gauze is, I mean, it's kind of impressive how much gauze that they can actually get into that little teeny cube.
It is.
But ultimately, this is a wound pack dressing where you are going to ultimately be stuffing this in whatever bullet hole or deep laceration. And it is infused with a clotting agent that assists the blood in thickening and creating that initial clot to get the bleeding to stop. On a femoral artery or your was it the brachialis up in your arm, you are definitely going to need to slow the flow of blood before you start packing, which is where the tourniquet comes in. Obviously, tourniquets are great as long as you can get them above the wound and cinched in. So if you have a shoulder wound or something in the chest area or really, really high in the groin area, these are not going to help you very much because you're not going to be able to get this above the wound and cinch down properly. If I'm being honest, a artery cut is probably my biggest fear in this whole survival and prepper world, because it's like, what do you do after you get the bleeding stopped? And
Yeah.
that's the hard thing because we're not field surgeons. We can't retrieve the artery if it's retracted and sew it back together. It's just stopping the bleeding until hopefully help arrives. But the biggest piece on whether it be the compressed gauze or wound packing gauze or the hemostatic gauze is when you're feeding it into the wound, you're making a ball, right? So you're gonna get a ball, and you're gonna it if the person is not unconscious, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
It's like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
And this is
Um,
why I want to take the class, Nate. Like, to your point, like some of it is just a psychological part. And I know the class is not real, real life, but to your point, you're stuffing some of this stuff in a wound. It's pretty dramatic.
yeah, and not everybody handles somebody else's blood well.
Yeah.
There's many people I know that like a bloody nose grosses them out if it's not
Yeah.
theirs. But yeah, you're going to get the initial ball and you're shoving it in the hole and you are pushing it upstream. So, say I have a wound here, right? I'm going to ball this and I'm going to put it in the wound and I'm going to push up. So obviously my hand is not supplying the blood to my arm. The heart is supplying the blood towards your hand. So you're keeping like hard pressure on that. And then with your other hand, you're going to be feeding more. And the only time that you release pressure is to put more gauze in and keep packing and keep packing and keep packing. You may not use all of this, but you may use all of it depending on depth of wound and how bad it's bleeding. One thing do not ever do is once you get this in,
Mm-hmm.
don't pull it out. It stays in, and if say you use half the roll, right? So you have this much packed inside the wound,
Yep.
and you have all of this left. While you're still putting pressure on the direct wound, you're going to overlap and put pressure on all of it. So you have the ball that's inside the wound cavity. You're going to keep pressure on the top of it, and that's where your wound wrapping is important. So as you're holding pressure on it, you're going to sneak a little bit of this underneath your hand, and then you're going to start wrapping. And it's firm pressure, like firm pressure.
Now, let me ask you a question, right? You said, once you get it in there, you don't take it out, right? Let's say the shit hits the fan, you got shot, plugged up a hole, hospitals are closed, right? So now you're out there, this is inside of you. Is there a time where you do take it out to clean it if there's no emergency and stuff it up again? Like, what are your thoughts on that? Maybe you don't even know. I'm not sure.
So, unless it's like full on arterial,
Mm-hmm.
the second you pull that out, if it's an arterial wound, it's going to let loose.
Gotcha.
That it's an insane amount of pressure that our bodies create when it comes to arteries. If it is, say outside of the thigh, um, a through and through, or even if you had to like get in there and take the bullet out later,
Yep.
it is This kit is to get you from where the wound happened to safety, and then you can address it. And that would be where you're going to be swapping out that gauze as long as the bleeding has stopped. And then you're going to be trying to gently take that out so you don't remove the clot with the gauze. Chances are the clot is probably going to come off with it, and that's why
Yeah.
you have the backup. You got the wound pack, you've got that the trauma bandage that you have, where you have an extra roll to wrap. You have, let's get this out of here. So this one's designed with an extra roll, but you can also use that as you're wrapping to keep more pressure on that wound until you get the blood to stop.
Gotcha.
So there is a
Got
time and a place to, go and retrieve that gauze, but initially it's, tourniquet if applicable, the hemostatic gauze, wound wrap to keep everything tightened up, to
Cool.
keep that bleeding stopped. And that's where the Israeli bandage comes in as well, because it has suckers long. So
This is super helpful, by the way. I'm glad you're talking about this because, like I said, some of the stuff I just threw some stuff in a bag, at one point just to make sure I had it. And what you're about to get into with the Israeli bandage and everything else, this is very helpful. So, for all you folks out there, not only are we going through the kit, but he's actually describing it, which to me is awesome. We're getting like a free lesson in traumas.
And by all means, I am not a professional. Take the blood stop kit or course. They are going to be a lot more in depth as per application of each one of these devices supplies in our kit. But the basic rundown is whatever you can do to stop the bleeding, keep a lot of pressure on it until the bleeding stops, and then address once you're in safety. Because even in, we'll say, a wartime scenario, what do? They try to stop the bleeding on site, and then they're calling for a medic and an evac.
Yeah.
And then they're taking that person after they've applied most of this stuff. I'm sure their kits are a lot more intricate, and then they are going to be getting them out of there to get to safety so they can address it further, and do a more thorough inventory of what the damage is.
Yeah.
But
And Nate, I don't know if you see the chat, man, but you're getting a lot of compliments on this kit. It seems like people have picked it up. They really like it. And once again, folks, everything Nate is showing, look how small this is. It fits in my hand, right? It's compact. It's very secure. I want to say it's good quality, right? I know for the cost that you're coming into the market with this, we touched on that a little bit earlier. For all you folks that just jumped in, a lot of folks price gouge these, right? They're looking to make these into profit. Nate and Crackshot Preparedness is out there really doing this to give affordable trauma kits, IFAK kits to the public. So just wanted to point it out as we're going through every item. It's all in this little package, which is very, very impressive.
Yeah, and the other key piece on this is, if you look at what other kits have in it, there is extra fluff, right? And that fluff, even though it's a band-aid here, or I don't know if you've seen those weird little suture kits that are like a zip suture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool gear. It's applicable, but this kit is designed where there's no fluff. You're not going to find band-aids in these unless you request it.
Yeah.
This is the heavy hitting blood stopper equipment. Because that extra stuff, even though it's small, it adds to the cost, which
Yeah.
allows them to just continuously have that price higher and higher. And then you're also paying for the name. We'll get hopefully 10, 15 years into this, and their kits went from $200 to now they're pushing $300. Ours are technically $140, and we're probably not going to move that price much.
Which is crazy, right? Because it's not only the kit and everything you have inside. Like I said, it's the bag. It's the bag. It's the sleeve over the bag. It's the ability to clip it onto a belt. I mean, it's so versatile. I'm impressed. I'll let you keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's really impressive. And I'm
So with
the screen
this,
back. Hold on.
okay.
There you go. People don't want to see me.
So this Israeli bandage, this thing is it's pretty awesome. So it's either Israeli bandage, trauma bandage. Can't right now think of the other names for it, but it's a battle dressing. So if you see, you have the absorbent piece, and then on the middle of the absorbent piece, you have this weird looking smiley face without eyeballs. I don't know if you can see that very well. There we go.
Yeah, interesting.
So what you're going to do is you would put, and you're going to say my wound is smack dab right in the middle of my forearm. This toggle is going to sit on top of that wound, which is going to give you coverage with that absorbent pad. You are going to tuck the loose flap underneath. Sorry, it's hard to do with one hand. But ultimately, you're going to come up, wrap up towards this weird looking smiley face, and you're going to tuck it in. Once I get this in, there we go. And then that is your cinch down. So you come this way with it, and once you get that fabric inside there, that is your cinch down.
Pretty cool.
And then at that point, you're just wrapping. And then all the way at the end, it has these cool little teeth that you can tuck it in on the actual bandage itself to hold retention on it.
Love it.
But yeah, even if you were to toss, if it's a bad bleed, toss the trauma bandage on it, right? And then put the Israeli bandage over the top of it and really cinch that sucker down.
That's awesome. Hey, quick shout out to Jova Q. Jova, appreciate you, my man. For you folks don't know, Jova is on a lot of different podcasts, whether it's Tactical Turkeys, some of the other folks, but super knowledgeable guy, and always appreciate him jumping in on stuff.
Mm-hmm. And so the next piece of this is the wound packing gauze, the compressed gauze. You're gonna pack those into the wound just like the hemostatic gauze. So there's Kicking Up Dust. What's up, dude?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Not too
Good.
shabby. How are you doing?
I'm sick, man. My son got me. Kids are gross, I swear.
Germ factories.
Yeah, they are walking germs.
Well, Dust, as you can see, and I was telling Nate, you might jump on. For you folks in the chat, how I even met Crackshot and Nate, Tactical Turkeys, Kick Up Dust, was actually one of the first folks that took a liking to my channel. Anyway, long story short, they did a giveaway around the holidays. These guys do the coolest stuff for the community, the coolest stuff for the kids. Him, Carbon Q. Obviously, Nate was involved, and I won this giveaway that included this IFAK. So, we definitely wanted Dust to jump on. I know he said he's under the weather, but much love to Dust with the turkeys. We're going to have him on separately. We're going to do, some content. I just want Dust to introduce himself, what he's been up to. But, Dust, I'm not sure if you even had a chance to see this kit yet. What are your thoughts around some of this stuff so far?
I've been watching. That kit definitely is solid. I think in the two-way space, especially more for the gun guys, because you have the prepping community who's more on top of things with medical and food and survival. Then you have the gun guys like myself. We're just like dogs, and like sometimes you just overlook it, but medical is definitely something that's important for sure. So,
Yeah.
whether it's a gunshot wound or it's just a simple cut, a nice little gash where it's like, now you have an infection. How do you deal with that? That's the little stuff that'll take you out of a fight real fast,
Yep.
But yeah, I've been watching what, I've been here for like the last 10, 15 minutes watching them, with the gauze and the wraps, the wound packing and stuff like that. And I've been sitting here watching, which is a lot of cool stuff. For anybody who is in this chat who doesn't know about medical, I definitely say get yourself into some medical. You'd be surprised
Fact.
on how important that stuff is.
Yeah, facts. Dels, you hit the nail on the head, especially in the 2A space and everything else. And I'm figuring out the screens. As you guys know, I don't do these live. I just got into these lives. So I figured out how to minimize me again because, Mike, I want you to have a lot of the show. But before we get into some of the other stuff, we do have a question. And DB Cooper, appreciate you jumping in, my man. Which hemostatic goals?
So we are using the kaolin. Oh man, that's gonna be backwards, isn't it?
No, it's good.
Okay. See if you can read that one.
Yeah, the kaolin hemostatic gauze. Stop bleeding faster. Yeah.
Yep. And I mean, there's many different ones. I can actually grab another one. 1 second. Now,
outside of that, I want to stop by, show some love. You're my guy, I
Yo,
gotta stop by.
Man, I can't wait for SHOT Show, man. We're gonna it's gonna be a good time. And yeah, we definitely gotta do stuff, man. For you folks that don't know, I'm actually gonna throw 2 links in the chat while Nate grabs that. But go check out Kick Up Dust on YouTube. This is the guy, and correct me if I'm wrong, but real quick, Nate, I don't even know if you know this. You know that Dust was one of the first guys to mag dump the 50 cal. And what did you get? Like 110 million views?
Yeah, it's something. It went kind of crazy. It went way more crazy than. Yeah. That it went a little bit more crazy than it should have, I think. I was just doing something I would do normally with the homies, and it's just took off.
It looked super badass. So
yeah, it was the setting, It was the setting for sure. It was just another day of me just shooting guns, and I don't know. I let it sit for a week or so, and then things just kind of went crazy. But
let's see.
Yeah,
I'm digging through my stuff. There we go.
Hey, for anybody going to SHOT Show, I will give everybody a little piece of advice. Start now. Start hydrating, and start taking vitamin C, because there is a thing called the SHOT Show crud. Everybody comes back from SHOT Show sick.
Really?
I don't have anything in our kit for that.
Everyone comes back from SHOT. Well, not everyone. Mostly everyone comes back from SHOT Show sick. You could do the turkey channel.
Yeah, we're gonna do that one too.
Yeah. Yeah. So hydrate, because there's gonna be way more walking than you would expect if you've never done this. If you've never done this, you're gonna be walking probably 17 miles a day. I kid you not. There's gonna be way more walking. On average, 17 miles, nothing less. And
Wow.
yeah, and get on some vitamin C. Definitely start eating vitamins and stuff. Get some immune boosters in you, because a lot.
I'm going to start tonight right after this episode.
I'm telling you, man, comfortable shoes. It's a lot of walking. It is a lot. I can't stress it enough. There's so much to see. Overall, I believe it's a little over 10 miles of like the show.
Wow.
The whole thing. It's like over 10 miles of like walking. So there's a lot of back and forth. There's 4 floors. It's massive.
Wow.
Dang.
Nate, you going out there?
Not this year. I won't be able to, but I'm hoping to next year.
Well, we'll see you next year, and we'll be talking about this kit out there regardless.
Yes. Real quick, the other type of hemostatic gauze you can get, obviously, quick clot. But again, the price point, everybody knows that name, C-Lox or Quick Clot or Fox Seal, any of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's Nikes versus Pumas. Not trashing on Pumas. I do like Pumas.
Yeah.
But yeah. The other piece that we do have in there, and this one is a big one that I would say get the training on. So if you do have the whole collapsed lung situation, where it's a sucking chest wound and you have to relieve the pressure, we do have the decompression needles.
Oh, wow.
Those are requestable on the site. You can go in and see all the stuff that we have to offer outside of the normal kit. But the decompression needle, do your due diligence. We are going to end up putting videos up on YouTube eventually, and also linked on our site. I'll give Whiteside Tactical a shout out on all their Stop the Bleed classes. If they have this on their curriculum, man, this can seriously save some lives.
They have that in the trach.
Yep.
Running a trach. I had them on my channel. I asked them about that because I don't know what it is, but I'm super like, it's like, yo, when do you do that? Like, when do you know you have to do that? Like,
Yep.
is it hard? I have a weird fascination.
When it's you don't have, in all reality, you don't have that much leeway on the trach versus, hey, you just created another wound that you're going to have to try to figure out. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a very, very tender area.
Hey, Nate, another quick question from the chat. What type of wound should you not use quick clot on? That didn't exist in my days. That's from Wyomingite.
Okay. So I know a lot of people carry, like, say, the quick clot granules with the applicator, any of that stuff. So if it is controllable with just gauze, try not to use the quick clot granules or the applicator thing, because what they don't tell you is it burns the hell out of the living tissue.
Oh, wow.
It has to be surgically scrubbed before they can stitch you up. So hemostatic gauze, that's one thing. If it's a bad enough wound, where err on the side of safety on it. So if it's a super deep wound and pressure's not doing it, move to the hemostatic gauze. But be very, very wary of dumping quick clot into a wound, because the tissue around it is going to burn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's what I thought. Yeah, iodine too. Yep. Prolonged exposure to iodine can kill your living tissue around that wound. One thing I will say, so this is a book that I've read over and over and over again. Getting yourself a suture kit, an actual suture kit, because you can do it on yourself. You can do it on, once, obviously, if it's an active shooter situation, get into safety or whatever, and it's or a knife wound, any of that stuff. This book right here.
Suture like a surgeon. Nice.
And get the practice, I don't know what the silicone pad, and practice. They have practice material on Amazon for not too much money. That's a big one, because if you can tie yourself back together and not make it look ridiculous and mess up your mobility after it heals, that's gonna do you some serious favors later down the road.
Yeah. This is all great advice, man. Once again, just greatly appreciate this.
Mm-hmm. What else we got? I think I went over the Israeli bandage. I went over the trauma bandage, compressed gauze, hemostatic gauze. We got tourniquet. Um, like I said, tourniquets, they are a dime a dozen, but there are knockoff brands that are um, not sustainable when it comes to torquing down to actually get the blood to stop. Where either the material tears or the windlass gives out. You got soft tourniquets, uh, combat application tourniquets, though. You can deal with those one handed. So if you end up being the one that has gotten injured and you can't use both hands, you can use these one handed and still get it cinched down enough to save your own life. The big piece on, um, we call it the individual trauma kit, is it's technically supposed to take care of you. Um, Now, if you're not injured and you are not in a hostile zone, you're going to take that and you know, obviously you're supposed to ask for consent as per CPR classes, but you're going to ask them if they want you to try to save them. There's a whole liability thing, but if they are unconscious and cannot answer, you're supposed to look at that as consent. And you can take that kit, you can use it on them, which is why it's always good to have two of these, just in case you're rendering aid and now you also become a victim. And that's why you have the compressed hemostatic gauze, you have the compressed gauze, you also have a side roll of wound packing gauze. Then you have the flexible wound wrap, as well as the Israeli bandage. The extra that you can do is the trauma bandage. So it's the 2 is 1, 1 is none. So you can render aid to somebody and not sacrifice what you potentially could use for yourself in a hostile situation. And obviously the low profile piece of that, is pretty big, because you don't want this big bulky,
Yeah.
this is my very first kit that I ever purchased, and this thing is pregnant. It is fat as hell. And I've worn this on a backpack, I've worn it on a belt, and I don't really like having something tugging my belt down or tugging my pants down while I have to run.
Yeah.
So that's that.
I love it, man. Well, guys in the chat, let me know if you have any questions, comments. What I am going to do, I'm just going to pull up his website. And before I do that, Crackshot, Dust, you got any comments, questions?
No, man. I did have a question. Were you prior military?
I was not.
Okay.
This is the brainchild of a lot of years of seeking out information.
No,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Trust me, I wasn't military neither. So, like, I completely understand. There's always the civilian side of like the learning aspect, right? And then there's the military side of learning, where they have like an actual curriculum and it's like straight, narrow, straightforward. And then the civ side, we have like a whole world of like, well, we don't have to follow your rules. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, we actually have options. So, but yeah, I was just asking.
Yep. I will say that a lot of the people that I get along with the best, uh, whether it be during employment or, say softball or just normal life,
Yeah.
I got a lot of friends that are veterans. And when I had big questions of what would I need to do in this kind of situation, they have been exceptional on giving me straight answers. And if my idea was absolute BS, they'd be like, "Yeah, that's dumb,"
Yeah.
which has served me very well.
Yeah. could always count on those dudes. With certain things, you could definitely count on them for them to be like, that's stupid, and you're like, why? And then they lay it out, and you're like, I get it. I understand. I understand now.
100%.
Facts. So Crackshot, I know we spoke about the IFAK and, we spoke about, Nate, but Crackshot Preparedness, I know you guys are doing more than just the IFAK. Why don't you tell the folks what else you guys are up to and what you have in store for 2025?
All right. So you guys have gotten to see the individual trauma kit. The other pieces that we're able to do is a 2 to 3 person trauma kit, which ultimately is this one now. And that will cover you as well as 2 to 3 other people. And then we have a big kit. And this one kind of kicked me in the pants when I saw the pricing on the competition. So we're able to build in backpack form a active shooter kit.
Oh, wow.
Treat 5 to 8, 5 to 10 people, depending on what you're going to be asking for. And we are about half the price of everybody. That's including the backpack, but it is enough to render aid from 5 to 10 people.
So let me ask you a question. You're probably already on top of this, but man, as soon as you said a backpack kit, able to help that amount of people, first thing that comes to my mind is every school in the country should have a few of these on hand. I know you guys just kicked it off, in 2023, this company, but any conversations with local municipalities, because obviously with those guys, budget is huge. And the price point you guys are coming in at, maybe this is something that can expand. Once again, it goes back to a necessity. It's not a want, right? These things should be necessities. When it comes to kids and everything else, here's a guy that's not only building individual kits, but now we're talking about backpacks that can help 10, 5, 10 people. If you just want to expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, well, where I met the Tactical Turkeys out at TriggerCon this last year, I got a chance to talk to Gun Owners of America, and did tell them that this is something that we're able to do. And the lady was super, super excited about it because they were 3 weeks away from doing an active shooter drill. I want to say it was in San Antonio, Texas, at the university. And on Whiteside Tactical, we don't have that on the website per se, but we have the backpack stuff where you can click. It's technically $100 charge, and then you send us a message and say what you want to build, and then we send you the actual price of what we're building.
Crackshot, have you met Whiteside?
I have not, unless they were at TriggerCon. I don't think
have you guys or like talk to each other, converse with each other outside. I think personally, on Instagram, I think you guys would pair up very well. I think just me personally, I think
we've talked a little bit on Instagram.
Okay, cool. That's one of those like connections where I think it should be made.
100% agree.
So,
yep.
And with that being said, we got a lot of new folks in here, so it just goes to show like how important this conversation is. Everyone in here, if I missed you, but Robert Ham, all these other folks, Damien, appreciate you, DB. I got to be honest, Crackshot, like I said, I just started these lives, but this one is definitely, it's of interest. It goes back to, once again, especially the times when this is necessity, guys. Like at the price point he's coming in, what did you say? This is about $130?
After tax, I want to say it hits 142.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer when you look at the market and what other guys are selling and price gouging for with the value that this pack has. So
it's $142 versus your or somebody else's life you pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
You know, and if I'm being honest, when I was working out in the oil field, there was it was early mornings, right? So 5 o'clock in the morning. Um, I I had to improvise a tourniquet. I was third arrival on a really bad rollover accident.
Oh, wow.
And it was the one day I walked out the door without my everyday pack. And sure as shit, get all the way out into the middle of nowhere and ended up having to improvise a tourniquet with a ratchet strap and a screwdriver.
Jeez.
And it ultimately saved this kid's life. He got ejected from a rollover accident, went through the sunroof, and it got everything that was important on his leg. And when I found him, he was shooting a blood trail that was about 8 feet long. And improvised it, stopped the bleeding. 8 minutes, 10 minutes later, here comes State Patrol, and they actually had an actual cat tourniquet, and 5 minutes behind them was the ambulance, and the guy would have perished if
Yeah.
And I told myself, I'm never heading to work without my kit ever.
Yeah.
So
This is going right in my truck. I mean, no BS, man. This is going right in my truck. I'm going to have it on me everywhere I go. I'm super impressed by it. Now, you're so knowledgeable with everything you taught us tonight, right? I'd love to have you on again and do a few of these. What trainings do you recommend? What trainings have you taken when it comes to trauma, if any? And I guess I'll just leave it with that for now. What do you recommend to folks?
Well, where I got my training from was obviously 11 years in the oil field. I'll give a shout out to ConocoPhillips. They gave probably the most extensive CPR, advanced CPR, and wound mitigation classes that I'd ever received in the oil field. And
Wow.
it really changed the perspective on what I personally need to have, and then personal research. Viewing this kit, of what is the worst case scenario, on a personal level if I'm out shooting by myself. What can I have on me that is going to make sure if there is a catastrophic failure with my firearm and I am severely damaged, how can I preserve my life and get to help and be alive when they get there, you know?
Yeah.
And then just the thought process of what can I do to keep somebody else alive while we're waiting for the important people to show up. That's what birthed this kit. Yeah. And then stop the bleed classes, I would say, is the bare minimum that people should take if they're anywhere in the 2A realm, if they're anywhere near the survivalist realm, any of that stuff. Do your due diligence on, like, it's cool to have the kit, right? It looks cool. It's packed all fancy. It's got stuff in it. But if you don't know what you're doing with it, you can end up being more of a liability to that person than you can be an asset. And the biggest piece of this entire thing, whether it's with firearms, with gear, is be an asset to yourself, be an asset to who you're aiming to help or protect or defend. And if we don't do our due diligence, we are doing such a disservice to us and the people relying on us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah. And we said it before, but all you folks that jumped in, I never bullshit on this channel. This has motivated me, right? I got to step up my game this year, which I'm going to do. There's a lot for me to learn when it comes to like what you were showing with packing the gauze, self-stitching, stuff like that. this is stuff. It's a passion, right? I mean, like you said, if we're in a 2A and you're in this, or just saving someone in an accident and knowing how to use this, it's priceless. I got to ask real quick, man, because you're in the oil industry. I didn't realize how dangerous it was. They just came out with that show, Landman, I guess from the creators of Yellowstone. I was like, holy shit. So I get why this is so important to you. Is it? I mean, it's pretty hectic, it seems like, out there.
It definitely can be. It's Landman is dramatized.
Yeah.
But, when I started in the oil field, there was an old dude that was part of my initial training, and he takes me to this site, and I was a lease operator and well optimizer. So we had all the high pressure equipment, not on the frac side, but the actual production facility side. And he's like, I want you to, before we walk onto this location, I want you to look at every piece of everything that's on here. I was like, okay. So I'm looking around, and he goes, you got it? You got a good picture in your brain? I was like, yeah. He goes, every piece of this wants to kill you. It's your job to make sure it doesn't. And I'm like, what?
Thanks.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Peed a little bit, It wasn't anything extravagant, but 2 drops of pee came out, and then I just kind of took it from there.
Hey, I do want to go to your website real quick, if that's okay. I want to bring folks to your website, kind of walk them through, where they can get some of this stuff. Once again, I think you guys got a lot coming too. We'll touch on that, but let me try to share my screen. Bear with me, folks.
Before you guys do anything, I got to roll.
Right.
The waves of me feeling down. I'm on the brink of it. I don't feel good. Much love, everybody.
You coming on, man.
Much
Yeah,
love.
no problem. I had to. I told them I was. So, I'm here.
And guys, check out the Tactical Turkeys.
They are awesome.
They got the podcast. They're awesome. Just real quick before you jump, when is your show? Tell the folks.
So we switched. We went from 2 days a week. We're going to 1. So it's gonna be Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going back to more video based and shorts. I used to have lives twice a week. I like making videos. It's fun. Making videos is definitely fun for me.
We need a re-up on that 50 cal.
Oh man,
yeah.
I've been trying to talk to Fostech to give me the 20-round drum, and they won't.
That's a lot of money in a drum.
Yeah, it's a lot of money in a drum, but it's just like, yo, I'll send it back. All I need it for is 5 minutes.
Yep.
Like, that's it. But
I'm trying to talk to Barrett to send me a 50 to New York, but we'll see. Okay.
All right, guys. Much love. I'm out of here.
Much love, bro.
I see you, dude.
Guys, be safe. Later.
Hope you feel better.
He's awesome. He's like, everyone out there, he's the one why we all connected.
Yep.
Just an amazing folk. The whole 2A community is amazing. But let me go ahead and try to share my screen. So funny. This is still new to me. So hold on. Give me 1 minute, guys.
I'm just trying not to touch buttons to mess it up. You know what I mean?
So this is Crackshot Preparedness. Like I said, go check him out. Obviously, we're on the home page right now, but if you scroll down, hold on 1 sec. I love their mission statement. I love what these guys are about, right? It's not just about the IFAK. It's really about what they're doing for the community. You guys can read this when you're on the website, but, it's official. What I do want to show real quick, what we went over, I believe was it the limited edition ITK, or did we go over the ITK Mini?
So the ITK Mini is a subset for like if you have limited space in your backpack. So if y'all check out Philip Off-Grid on Instagram, it was because of him that we created that one. He had very limited space in his bug out bag, and we built him a kit and made it work. And
wow.
So
he's got it in the wheel well, it looks like, man.
Oh, that was me. I was working on my my Suburban, and I was like, you know what, this looks cool.
It does look cool, actually.
But the limited release trauma kit. I do have to fix the title on that because it's no longer a limited release. This is a staple of Crackshot Preparedness now, and that is the kit that you got, Jeff.
I love it, man. As you guys can see, it's cool, right? Oh, you got different. Wow, you got different. I thought you just had the FDE in black, but I see you got stealth gray. You got OD green, which is also you got camo. You got extra tourniquet capability. So
Yep.
Super cool. What I like about this, man, you guys can see this is the kit right here in the middle, but he's got it on a battle belt, right? You got the knife right there. You got your pistol.
Yep.
With what this kit comes with, it comes with the accessories to put it right on a battle belt. I found that really, really cool. Another thing folks aren't doing, right?
Yeah, and this can be mounted. So like, say your EDC belt, you have like the core battle belts, next belt, you have the Blackbeard belts. So the kit can, where's the little patch here? So this is just the sleeve. You can run it through horizontal, through an EDC belt, or you can run it vertical to save space. So it's extremely versatile. And then from there, you can hook it to, like you said, a backpack. You can hook it through your battle belt via MOLLE, or you can just slide the battle belt through. You can put it on your vest, your backpack. You can throw it in your backpack, chest rigs, any of that stuff. It is able to be mounted on any of that.
I love it. I really love it.
And then that screen that you just showed right there with the bags, that would be the either actual get home bag, or it will end up being the 5 to 10 person kits.
Awesome. This is really impressive. And I just pulled it back up. So guys, I know there's a little bit of a delay, but I just pulled it back up. You can see the size of this bag. Once again, this is something that should just be in every, every area, every school, every, big corporate buildings and things like that. Oh, hold on. I forgot to, sorry about that, guys. But guys, you can see the bag right here. Check these out, man. These are the real deal. And like I said, I would never bullshit. Like, I'm not going to come on here and just bring anybody on this website. This guy is really knowledgeable, really doing good things, and doing it at a price point that you just can't beat. And we got another surprise.
Hey, sorry.
Howdy.
I was like, hi, how are you? How you doing? I was trying to turn off the other one. I had my other page open. How's everybody? I'm so sorry that I'm late. I'm having technical difficulties with the weather. Hi, everybody.
Doing good. How are you?
Yeah, Carmen, really appreciate you stopping by. We mentioned your name a few times, but everyone that just jumped in, she's the reason behind this all.
Yep.
Oh man, I actually came across your page from the Tactical Turkeys. They had reposted you, and I went over there and I checked it out, and I was watching you for a minute, and I was like, oh, I like his style, and here we are, right?
Yeah, crazy.
It's so nice to meet you, finally.
Yeah, nice to meet you as well via the internet.
All right.
Yes. I love this kit. I mean, what he did with this kit is truly amazing. And like I told him, not only am I going to, I know we're covering it on this live, but you guys know I create a lot of content. I'm going to be talking about this. I'm going to be throwing it in my bug out bag. I'm going to throw it in my truck. And you guys come on this journey with me as I learn, and learning a lot. Learned a lot just on this video tonight, which is crazy. And Carmen, why don't you give your background to people real quick? I know you've been.
I started prepping when the first pandemic happened, and it just turned into this. I took a break for a minute, but I'll be coming back. I actually have mine on order, so it should be coming in soon, and I'm excited for that. So my take on it is I wanted to go more of a minimalistic style.
Yep.
Notice in prepping, you can get bogged down with so many things, and you just need your basics and you got to make it work from there. So more so training and having training on all different skill sets. You know, there's the medical, firearms, bushcrafting. There's so many things that you have to acclimate yourself to. So that was my 2025 resolution to get back into it. I just got some cameras so I can actually start putting things back out. I don't think I'm going to do so much lives. I'd rather just put it out and keep it pushing. And once in a while, we'll have a live. So that's what it is. I think when you talk about prepping, people think like you're crazy. And when you realize we do prepping for everything, if you go out in the sun, you use sunscreen, you know, you prep for something that could happen. It's the same thing with your survival. You know, look at all these shootings that's happening. If everybody was trained with an IFAK, we probably could have saved some lives in those situations. Who knows?
Same thing on the New Orleans side. You know?
Exactly. Stop right. But I think it's something. And, you know, when things happen, like look at the weather now. Do you think emergency services or in any aspect is going to be able to get to you with icy streets? You're your first responder, so you might want to have these things on deck and take care of you and your family.
Perfect point. You are your first responder. You are your own first responder.
Yep.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And guys, I checked, dropped the link for Carbon Q in there. Check out.
Thank you.
Site. Wyomingite. In the world of awesome flashlights, where does the chem light stand? I'm a flashlight guru, and do chem lights still really have a? So it's funny you mentioned that. Crackshot, my kit did come with a chem light.
Yes.
You threw it in there. So, but I'll let you answer this question.
Right on. So, if you are in a dire situation where the threat risk is high, and you are rendering first aid to whether it be yourself or it be somebody else, a flashlight is potentially going to be a liability. So, what we toss in is either we have an orange light stick that is a longer duration, lower lumen, so you can see what you're doing and not necessarily give away in broad scope your location. We also have 8-hour flat out red, because in a dark environment, red light does not hinder your night vision, and it does not project light far enough where it could be an extra risk to you. The only downside is with the red, it matches the color of blood. So that's where the orange one came in. It's kind of like a crossover between being able to stay hidden and also being able to see what you're doing. We also have the white ones, which are, God forbid, grid down scenario, your flashlight no longer works. You have a high lumen white chem light, and it's a longer duration. 4 to 12 hour is what we would end up packing.
Love it.
So,
appreciate that, man.
They are versatile still.
Yeah. You can use them for SOS reasons. Markers. They have the small ones that you can use them as markers. So they have a lot of good, you can tag them on kids if you're traveling in the dark just to keep an eye, where they are. So they have the use.
Real quick, we will be offering as well in any of the pull this out of here, any of the active shooter kits that we're selling. These are actually really freaking cool. So this is green, and they have green, red, white, orange, but it is a adhesive on the back. So you can literally crack this just like a normal chem light, and say you had to drag somebody into a dark closet to render aid, you can put this on the wall and not have to touch it for that. It'll adhere to that.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
So that will end up being in the the active shooter kits that we built.
Hey, what's that called again?
So it's a Kyloom, and it's called a Visipad. And
Interesting.
So hold that up there. So you just bend it,
Cool.
and then spread the glowiness around, and then once it activates, it's actually pretty bright. And this lasts. I've taken these camping to see how long they actually last. It says a 6 hour, but it is still mildly luminescent after 48 hours.
Nice, man. I never even knew about that. So learned a hell of a lot tonight. Let me ask you while we're on, and we're all like 2A folks and the trauma and everything else, but what's your typical EDC as far as firearms?
I really like 1911s. Like,
nice.
really like them. But 45 caliber is my go-to. The wife has XDS 45. My conceal is a Colt Defender 45.
That's what my father conceals. Colt Defender 45, man.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I got her. It's back, the short one right there.
Love it.
But my battle belt pistol actually got stolen at TriggerCon. And that was the FN 545. So that's my normal battle pistol.
That's
gotta
awesome.
Get into one.
I was watching a guy on YouTube, Chook's Outdoor Adventure. He's got the FN 45, but he converted it to the 460 Roland, which is pretty wild. He's out there in Alaska, so with the grizzlies and everything. Corbin, not to put you on the spot, but what's your EDC? Oh, you might be muted. Oh, hold on, I might have muted you by accident.
That was me. I carry a Canic, but I'm looking at the Glock X43 MOS. So
nice.
An upgrade to that one. Yeah. I was listening to a lot of you guys, so I was like, I think I better go with this one. Yeah.
That is awesome. I've been packing, it's funny, in the summer and the spring in New York, I go with a 9mm, right, with the shorts and shirt, but I can't wait for the fall and the winter because I bring out my Glock 20.
Nice.
10mm, and I also just got the Springfield XDM Elite 10mm, the little 3.8 inch, which I'm trying to get used to, and hopefully I can convert to that in the summer.
Nice.
We got some 1911 fans. Thomas, just so you guys know, he's been a subscriber since like day one. This guy has more 2011s than any YouTuber I know, which is pretty interesting. Mod, just a suggestion. You should mod at. Yeah, you know what? I need him. I'm probably going to need a mod now that I'm doing live. So Carbon, we could talk about that offline if you're interested, or anybody.
You got to get past those turkeys.
Yeah, I'll get that. Yeah, you got to figure out something. DB, maybe you. I'll figure it out. But yeah, we'll get a mod in here so someone can help out with the chat. Wow, 3-inch, 10mm. That, you know what it is? It is pretty snappy. I'm always in the woods. Well, you know what? I like it for the street also, but it is definitely more snappy than a Glock 20, which is kind of expected. But yeah, I don't want to hold folks up too much. Crackshot, is there anything else you want to tell folks out there? I'm going to drop your website again in the chat.
Yeah, we are going to do a one-time roll limited edition bug out / trauma pack. And it is going to be in the Condor
Love it.
tag. So this is going to be, I would say, considered a bigger 3-day assault pack, but we are going to also hold the preparedness side for trauma kit inside here. It's going to be a 2 to 3 person trauma kit as well as a get home bag. So be watching. Once we drop this, it's literally a one-time bag.
Love it. When can we expect that, man, roughly?
You'll
Yeah.
have to watch Instagram, and I'll give some teasers leading up to it, and then we'll have a drop.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'd love to review that one on here. We'll do it virtually. I'd love to have you on to walk through that one like you did with this one.
You know what? If the push for another bag is good enough, we'll do one more sometime.
That's awesome. What do you folks? Any questions, comments from anybody in the chat for Nate and Crackshot? We had a good chat tonight, man. I got to admit, this was really good educationally, and like I said, once again, I love what you guys are doing. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it. What you guys are doing is really amazing. So check out Crackshot Preparedness. There's very few people that genuinely in this industry do stuff out of the goodness of their heart, right? I'm not knocking folks. People do have to make money, but when folks charge what they do for some things, especially when it comes to first aid and medical and protecting your families, it's sad. So it's really nice to see a company like Crackshot Preparedness doing what they're doing for the community, not only putting together the kits, but educating folks on how to use it, which is, man, we can't thank you enough.
Appreciate you having me on for being able to go through all this stuff. So
you got it. Well, we'll be in touch. Like I said, guys, we're going to be talking about this in future videos. Appreciate you, Crackshot. Carbon Q, really appreciate you for lining up everything. Yeah, and I'd love to, I know I'm just starting out, but maybe we could get you on too. Just the whole prepper community is you guys notice, is a firearm channel, but prepping I've been doing way before I got into the guns in New York. I couldn't get into this until recently. So the prepping topic is really my passion and everything else. Yeah, it really is.
We could definitely chop it up. Absolutely. I would love to come back on and we can talk about it some more.
Likewise. I would love to join y'all.
Oh, that's
great. Well, listen, everyone, have a great night. Carbon, thank you for jumping on.
I think somebody had a question. Any Atkin glove dispenser suggestions?
Oh, that is a good comment.
Glove dispenser. So, the kits have a side port that allows you to feed through your gloves, but they are unreliable. So there's a little teeny pocket that you can stuff your glove into, this little pocket, and then you can pull it out. It is very unreliable on getting 2 gloves out. So the biggest thing that I can say on that is the gloves that we're putting in, it's a little cardboard placard that has 2 sets of gloves in it. If you want to have one strapped underneath your tourniquet, that's an option. But being as the glove is so thin, it's the dispensing part of the trauma kit, it's very unreliable. So you need to have, there's no quick way to get them, right? Mm-hmm. It is, you have to open it, obviously trying to keep it as sterile as possible because you're going to be in the wound with them. Mm-hmm. It falls into personal preference, honestly. I have not had any good luck on any of those, like push the finger of the glove through this hole and then when you pull it, both gloves will come out. It never works that way.
Never works that way.
It's wild. Maybe
we need to brainstorm a container for that.
Working on it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that was it. But thanks so much for listening.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Carbon.
I want to keep this going. I think everyone brings a different sense of knowledge, right? Like in different experiences and different ideas, and like this is how everyone learns from each other, which is awesome. So I appreciate both of you guys. I appreciate everyone in the chat. Ground Fog, Wyomingite, DB Cooper, Damian, Thomas.
Yeah,
So many
thanks for
people.
joining, guys.
Yeah, really appreciate it. So, Crackshot, we'll be in touch. Much love. Keep up the great work. You guys are amazing. You're going to have a huge year. I know it, especially with these bags and everything else you're doing. Carbon, thank you so much. And everyone have a great night.
All right. See you guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Much love.